What's going on, fishy friends? Rich here, Rich's Fishes, and today we got another update in the fish room. Fishy, fishy, fishy. Alright guys, so I have been busy doing a little bit of this. And a little bit of that. And a whole lot of this. So yeah, I've been busy once again renovating my kitchen. Anybody who's followed me for a while now. And hey, by the way, I want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers. Anybody that's subscribed since my last video, anybody who's been subscribed for a very long time, anybody who was lucky enough to take advantage of that special last week, I'll extend it one more week. Hit that subscribe button for free right now. So, what was I saying? Why I've been busy. Busy. Yes, been renovating the kitchen yet again. And anybody who's been watching my channel for a while might be saying, well geez, didn't you say that last year? I did. Last year I renovated the kitchen in that I got a new countertop, I painted all my cabinets, I got a new sink, and a whole lot of other little stuff. So theoretically I worked on 2 out of the 4 walls in the kitchen last year. This year we're pretty much doing everything else that I didn't touch last year, which involved ripping down all the sheetrock, tearing down walls, finding some interesting electrical jobs that previous people had done, finding a butler's pantry, I guess I'm going to call it, that was sort of closed in behind the wall and some other cabinets and things like that. So the family and I decided that we needed to make the kitchen ours and do a little more work, and I'm hurting. I'm sore. Doing all this work is a toll on the mind, a toll on the body, and it's a toll on the fish room in the sense that I don't have any time to get down here and do my maintenance, so I've been ignoring some stuff. I've also missed the opportunity to film a couple of different things, to include a couple of different spawnings with some angelfish and some of my German blue rams. I had some fry in the apistogramma tank the other day. I think I might still have fry, but they're probably in the cave and I can't see them. So over here, the how many? 8 rams I got from Coral Bandit recently are all doing fantastic. I believe I have at least 6 females and it looks like 2 males. And there have been at least 3 different spawning sites that happen. Multiple times now, and I've not made it to fry. I do want to try to artificially rear a spawning next time it happens. But there's a lot of activity in this tank, and this time I think I'm doing it right in the sense that I got 6 females and 2 males. So whatever aggression is there gets dispersed amongst everyone, and nobody looks worse for the wear yet. I can't continue to keep them in here forever like this. I wouldn't mind separating out whatever fish are spawning, but they don't seem to have paired off. I mean, they're paired off when they're spawning, obviously, but they haven't paired off in the sense that I don't see any male-female pair hanging out by themselves right now. It looks like 2 females potentially showing some aggression towards one another. That might mean that we're getting ready for another spawning here. So far they seem to be pretty regular. Every 7 to 10 days I see some new eggs, and it seems that the male gets left behind and guards the eggs. Usually there's one spawn site down there in the bottom of the clay flower pot. Another one back there on that slate. And there has been a 3rd site. Was it in the sand? I don't know, I think I talked about this the other day, how some fish have dug out some of these pits in the sand down there, which is what cichlids and rams specifically will sometimes do when they're looking to lay eggs. Other times they like flat surfaces. It's always been suggested to me to use flat surfaces, which is why I got these clay saucers in there, and they like the bottom of the clay pots and all the flat slate style stones. You can use a piece of tile. They should even lay on the Indian almond leaves if they found it necessary. And so far so good. I'm very happy with how these fish look. They've all colored up real well. Their shape is good. Their health seems fantastic. Their demeanor is good. Their behavior is nice. And that's just a beautiful fish right there. I love German blue rams. Microgeophagus ramirezi. I can't explain much more than that, but they are a South American cichlid. I tend to really enjoy South American cichlids. My discus, my apistogramma, my German blue rams, various tetras that I like are all from South America. I never really realized when I was younger where all these fish come from. You know, you hear tropical fish, and in my mind, I hear tropical, I immediately think of the Caribbean. I don't keep saltwater fish, so obviously none of my fish came from the Caribbean Sea or anything like that. But that's where my mind automatically wants to go to, a tropical island, you know, saltwater oasis. That's what I immediately think of when I hear the word tropical. So it was difficult for me to wrap my head around the fact that these fish come from rivers. You know, obviously they're freshwater fish. Most of them come from the Amazon River and from various areas in South America. It's just interesting to learn some of that stuff. Ted Judy's doing a really cool series right now, documenting his recent trip to Colombia, was it? I could be wrong there. I just saw the first episode of that yesterday. It might not have been when he posted it, but it's when I finally had a chance to watch it. So what else has been happening? Over here are the 3 older German blue rams. And these guys are big. I mean, these are the biggest rams I've ever personally kept. I had trouble believing that rams even got to this size, to tell you the truth. But here it is in person, and they are that big. So these 3, like I've talked about, I had 2 of them in a tank that I thought were a pair, and I chose the wrong 2. Now that I've reintroduced these 3, a different pair has formed, and they've spawned at least 2 times over here on that slate underneath the wood. I'm pretty sure I know which 2 have paired off in this tank, although right now I can't tell for sure. It's funny, that one's slightly... the coloration on that one is slightly different than most of the others I've ever had and currently have. But that's neither here nor there. My little girl's glowfish tank. I don't know, as much as I don't know what I want to say here. I don't mind looking at this thing. The colors are nice. I can see why they're so endearing, especially to kids. They're definitely eye-catching, and I think I recently learned that the guys that invented these fish, so to say, their effort, I don't think their goal was to create an aquarium fish. I think their goal was essentially a big science project. I'm not sure if it was for grad school or something like that, but I believe they were trying to figure out a way to determine the levels of pollution in waterways, and tried to use fish as an indicator, and began injecting the phosphorescent gene from jellyfish, I believe, into certain tetras. And the result was fish that breed true. You know, everybody has a problem, in quotes, in this hobby when fish are altered. People used to talk about painted fish or tattooed fish. You know, those were literally injected with a dye, and that color would wear out on you after a little while, and the fish would look like its natural counterpart. Whereas these fish, these glowfish, will always stay that color. If 2 of these fish breed, their offspring will naturally have a highly colored body. I'm not sure if 2 different colors were to breed, what you might get. And I know the Glowfish Company frowns on anyone trying to breed these fish because they hold the patent on it and everything. But, you know, sometimes nature takes its course. I've heard of people who have seen fry in a tank full of glowfish. Now, I'm in no way attempting to breed these things, but I would be curious if an orange and a green bred together, what color you might get out of them. So, I don't know. There's my little rant on that. The red cherry shrimp up here in the Tetra tank. I got my lonely black skirt back there all by himself. That's the only one that made it past the move. And all the cherry shrimp are doing pretty good. I haven't dropped an algae wafer or anything in here so they would all converge on it. But there's a decent amount of activity in the tank, which is pretty cool. Apistogramma hogsloy. They've bred for me. There's one of the females. That I do not believe is the breeding female. Well, she could be a breeding female, but she's not the female who gave birth, who laid eggs and reared fry in this tank. That is the female who has done so, and I just scared the poop out of her, and she just ran back into her cave. Now, she's been hanging out in that cave, I mean, almost since the day she arrived in my fish room. And for a while I had trouble finding her. I thought the worst. I thought she had died. But she's been hiding out in there, and yesterday I noticed a bunch of fry poking their heads out with Mom. I don't see any fry right now. But since Mom won't venture more than an inch or two away from that cave opening, I would not be surprised if there are fry in there. This tank is in a really bad spot and really difficult for me to see. I don't see the male right now. Oh, there he is. Oh, he just I just spooked him. He just kicked up all that debris. He was underneath that piece of driftwood. You know what else I just realized? I forgot to use my microphone, guys. I bought that clip-on lapel mic. I was talking about that in my last video. Used it for that driftwood unboxing. I bought the damn thing. I might as well use it. Now I gotta remember to plug it in and clip it on my shirt whenever I'm shooting videos. Juvenile tiger turks. I don't even know if I can consider these guys juvies anymore. I've had them for what, 9-10 months now? They're putting on some size, minus that one little guy. I don't know, there always seems to be a runt of the litter. I don't know if it's ever been proven, but I know there's theories that fish secrete, for lack of a better term, certain hormones, and I guess the theory is that the larger fish, obviously the largest fish wants to be the king of the pack, the leader of the pack, so to say, and there's reason to believe that there's hormones that get secreted that can potentially stunt the growth of other fish. I've also talked about this in the past too, about how to tell healthy discus, stunted discus, and things like that, and that eye to body ratio is key. If you see on my smallest discus here, the eye looks rather large compared to the body, especially compared to, say, that fish, where the eye and the body seem proportionate. I don't know how to explain it better, other than in my mind, the eye has continued to grow, whereas the body hasn't, you know? I know that's not the correct way to think about it, but it's the best way to explain it, sort of. And, you know, you can almost see on almost every other fish, the eye seems like the correct size for the body. But on that little one, for some reason, he's a little more angular, he's a little more pointy and football-shaped, and obviously it's not my water parameters because the rest of the fish are doing fine. I'm keeping up on my maintenance while I aim to do 50% water changes daily. Life gets in the way. Insert picture of kitchen renovation here. And I don't always get down here and do it every day. But I do really keep up on my maintenance in this tank. And I have far too many fish in a 29-gallon tank. They should have been moved up to the next size tank already, and they haven't. That's my own fault. Shame on me for that. But I hope I'm doing the right things here. But it is interesting how 1 out of the 8 is a bit stunted and has a slightly bigger eye. The red covers up here, they've continued to breed for me once or twice, but, you know, as par for the course with them, I don't make it past a couple of days. Here's some of that driftwood that I put into the 12-gallon long tank the other day. Still haven't done anything with that. These guys are doing really well. They've taken the move pretty good. I moved this tank over down to the bottom of this rack when I was moving everything else recently. I think they're a good example too. These are good. This one in particular is a nice, good, round, healthy discus. And again, you can sort of see that the eye looks proportionate to the body. The eye doesn't look out of place. The eye doesn't look abnormally large or anything like that. I don't have any stunted versions of these guys. That one sickly one I got with the weird gill issue is a tiny bit stunted compared to them, but not too bad. Speaking of old Gilly over here, we're going to call her. I don't know why I've taken a calling it a her all of a sudden. Boy, the glare over here is not going to allow for that. But I've continued to medicate this tank. I've used the General Cure and the erythromycin. I did a full course of that, and I still don't see any improvement on the gill function. That gill is working good, and the other gill still is not. 72 bow front is still an overgrown mess. And fact of the matter is, it will continue to be an overgrown mess because I am not attempting to rescape this thing until after I finally get around to redesigning the fish room and moving all my tanks and everything like that. So for the time being, this tank's just going to stay what it is. There's a couple of rainbow fish left in the tank. There's not too much else going on in there. But I do occasionally see some fry. I had talked about this in the past couple of weeks. I had attempted to catch a few and tried rearing them over here in the specimen container, but that was a failure. And I again saw some fry yesterday. They weren't super tiny. They've been in the tank for a week or so, I'd guess. There's one. Where'd it go? Might be able to see it. Oh, come on. Man, I really don't think I like my new camera. Oh, and I just moved. Come on. Focus. Hey, that works. Focus. Well, it doesn't work twice in a row. Well, you can probably see it. It looks like a blurry little fish, because it is a blurry little fish. We've also had spawning activity in the angelfish 55-gallon planet tank. You can see the remnants where there were some eggs on the intake of the filter. Now, I've not been trying to breed these angels, but I've had this pile of angels, this group of angels, for a while. I raised these guys out from quarter-size fish. If anybody's been watching me a really long time, might remember when I had a rack of my 10 gallons over here where the dryer is right now. I had a little angelfish. I was calling Lucky for a little while because he was swimming in circles with a bum fin. The remaining fish in this tank were part of that group that I picked up with that little guy. The size that they've put on is quite impressive, if you can see past all the glare and everything. But I had 2 fish spawn over here, and I don't know which 2 it was. This one right here, I believe, was guarding the eggs as of yesterday, and it's one of the 2 smaller ones. There's 2 slightly smaller angels in this tank that were not part of the other 6 or whatever that I had. Some of the rummy nose in there. There is a school of rummy nose in there. They probably just never show up on film because they're always hiding and swimming back and forth between the plants. But everything's doing good in here. Very, very happy. Here's another version of a stunted discus with a big eye. This is one of the older red turks I got. You know, he's probably 2 years old by now, so he is not going to be growing anymore. And you can sort of see that eye is just, I don't know, too big for the body, so to say, as opposed to that fish, where the eye and the body are proportionate. Now, this is no prize-winning discus, but it's not stunted. It's relatively round. I mean, it's not all that large. It's probably only a 4 to a 5 inch fish, which is pretty big for as fish go, but, you know, discus can grow to 8, 9 inches if you're really lucky. And you can sort of see the eye, the size of the eye compared to the size of the body just looks correct. There's no better way for me to describe it, and it just looks right. It doesn't look out of place, it doesn't look disproportioned, and that's definitely a good sign when it comes to discus. Just realizing that my CO2 tank is running low. It's about time for me to swap tanks. I've had an empty 20-pound tank in my car for about 3.5 weeks now, and I just have not found the time to go back to the fire extinguisher place and get the damn thing refilled. But maybe that makes sense, because now I can go get 2 tanks filled at once. I really got to do that. Wow, I got to pay attention. It is very risky to let a CO2 tank start running low. A CO2 tank is, I don't know if I want to delve into this right now. Maybe there's a topic for another day. But with a single stage regulator, you run the risk of end of tank dump. Basically, once pressure starts decreasing in a CO2 tank, you're almost all out of gas and might only have some liquid left, and we only want the gas in this hobby. So maybe that's something I will talk about. Maybe I'll try to do a guide to using pressurized CO2. I got a couple of more regulators I'd like to build. Maybe I'll try to do that on camera. Maybe I shouldn't take on an extra project until after I get the fish room done, so that might be something that gets put to the back burner for quite a while. But one of these days, I might have to do that. Empty 40 breeder, where there will be another empty 40 breeder, and the filthiest tank I think I've ever kept in a very long time. The amount of algae on the glass over here is nuts. I've been planning on taking that last angelfish and moving that one over into the Planet 55. But I don't want to do that yet because I want to be able to keep these filters cycled. If I remove that fish and don't have a bioload left in the tank, all the beneficial bacteria in the hang-on back filter, the 2 sponges there, and those 2 sponges there, I run the risk of killing that bacteria, for lack of a better term. I am going to move this tank, and I want to replace it with a 40 breeder up there, so I could use those sponge filters to instantly cycle the new tank, but I need to have fish to throw in there, or I need to keep dosing it with ammonia, and it's just kind of a pain in the ass. Let's see, I got 1 apistogramma trifasciata left in the tank up here. I don't see it right now. The Endler tank I've been having some issues with. All my fault, simply due to a lack of maintenance and just allowing the tank to get way overcrowded. So I've been trying to do as many water changes as I can on this tank, and it started to develop a bit of a scent, a bit of an odor, which is never a good sign. I think it's just, you know, decaying waste and decaying food and probably some decaying dead fish that I haven't noticed and pulled out. And it's getting a little rank here and there. And over there is that apistogramma cockatoides triple red, supposedly I got from Ted Judy a while back, finally showing some color on the dorsal fin there. And there was a single red cherry shrimp that just cruised by. Oh, the apistogramma might go to eat them. I figured that was a risk, and that was eventually going to happen. Honestly, I had thought it already did, because I haven't seen any cherry shrimp left in here recently. But there's a reason why I popped over here and talked about this tank. I had a hang-on back filter supplementing the sponge filter in this 10-gallon tank with that single apistogramma. It's unnecessary. It's more filtration than is needed for a single fish. So what I did was I took the hang-on back filter off of there and put it over there on this overpopulated Endler tank, which can use some extra filtration. I made sure I put a sponge on the intake of the hang-on back so I don't suck up any fry into the filter. Inevitably, I'm sure 1 or 2 will get sucked up and unfortunately get killed in that filter. There's also a chance 1 or 2 might get sucked up and live for quite a while in the back of that filter. I've seen that happen before. And then the cherry shrimp tank up here is just is so overgrown I can't even see the shrimp anymore, but they're in there. There's one cruising along the front of the glass right now. There's another one back in the Java moss back there. I'm sure if I continued counting, there'd be hundreds of fish. That's it for now, guys. I'm signing out. Don't forget to click the Amazon affiliate links down below so I can make a few pennies. Follow Rich's Fishes on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and hit that subscribe button. Later, guys.